So, what really happens after we die? I mean, it's a question humans have been asking forever, right? Today, we're going to dive into one of the most detailed and, frankly, fascinating answers out there from the Christian doctrine of the resurrection of the body. We'll be using a framework laid out by the teacher Derek Prince to really unpack this core belief. So, let's jump right in.
This really is the big one, isn't it? What happens when our time here is up? Every culture, every era has wrestled with this. And the framework we're exploring today offers a surprisingly detailed, step-by-step answer. It starts by looking at what the afterlife was believed to be like before one single, absolutely pivotal event in history.
Okay, so first things first, what does resurrection even mean here? Well, the word comes from Greek, and it literally means to stand up out of, like standing up out of a grave. And right off the bat, here's a super important point from our source. This teaching is only about the physical body. The idea is that your spirit and your soul, they never actually die, so they don't need to be brought back to life in the first place. To really get why the resurrection is such a game changer in this teaching, we have to rewind a little bit. We need to understand what the afterlife was thought to be like before Jesus. The source describes this single destination for pretty much every soul that died, kind of like a universal waiting room for the dead. Didn't matter if you were righteous or unrighteous.
The main story used to paint a picture of this place is a pretty famous one from the Gospel of Luke, the story of the rich man and Lazarus. Now, when both of these guys die, they wind up in the same general realm, but their experiences, totally different. The rich man finds himself in torment in a place called Hades, while the poor man, Lazarus, is in a place of comfort called Abraham's bosom.
And this one's story supposedly reveals 5 incredible things about that afterlife. First, your personality sticks with you. You are still you. Second, you can recognize other people. And third, you remember your life on Earth. And this is a big one. You are totally conscious and aware of your situation, whether that's comfort or torment. And finally, even though they're in the same general place, there is this huge uncrossable gap separating the righteous from the unrighteous. There's no hopping from one side to the other. So that was the old reality. But then came what this teaching describes as the single most decisive moment in all of human history, the death and resurrection of Jesus. This wasn't just something that happened back then. It was an event that completely rerouted the destination for every believer who died from that point forward. You can see the shift so clearly right here. Before the resurrection, the path for all souls, good or bad, led down to that unseen realm, Hades. But after, the journey for believers got a major update. Instead of going down, their spirits would now go directly up to be in the presence of Christ. So how does one person's resurrection guarantee it for everybody else who believes? Well, the source uses this really powerful analogy from childbirth. Think about it. Once a baby's head is born, the rest of the body is guaranteed to follow, right? In this view, Jesus is the head who has already made it through death and into resurrected life. Believers are considered his body, so his resurrection becomes the absolute promise that they're going to follow. But we're not just talking about getting your old body back. No, this is about a radical, total transformation. The source describes it as upgrading from what it calls a body of humiliation to a body of glory. Let's break that down. A body of humiliation? Why that phrase? Well, because our current bodies get sick, they get old, they decay, and according to this teaching, they're marked by our human failings. The resurrected body, the body of glory, is the complete opposite. It's promised to be immortal, powerful, and totally remade to be like Christ's own glorious resurrected body. And this isn't just some far-off, pie-in-the-sky when you die kind of belief. It's meant to directly change how you live your life right now. The argument is that if you truly believe you're destined for a pure and glorious body, that hope becomes this incredibly powerful motivation to live a pure life today, using Jesus as the example. Still, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around what this transformation would actually be like. I mean, how can something be the same body but also be completely different? Well, the source gives us a fantastic analogy from nature to help make sense of it. Think about planting a seed. The tiny thing you put in the ground looks nothing like the massive tree that eventually grows out of it, right? And yet that tree is 100% connected to that original seed. That's the whole idea here. The resurrected body is the same body that was buried, but it will be gloriously and supernaturally transformed, just like a tiny seed becoming a full-grown tree. So, what are the specs on this upgrade? The source actually lays out 5 key transformations. The body goes from corruptible, meaning it can decay, to incorruptible, from mortal to immortal, from a state of dishonor because of sin to one of glory, from weakness and sickness to supernatural power. And finally, and this one is really fascinating, it goes from a soulish body, one driven by natural appetites and emotions, to a spiritual body, which is perfectly controlled and empowered by the human spirit in direct connection with God.
And to be crystal clear, within this framework, the physical resurrection isn't some minor optional belief, not at all. It's presented as the absolute cornerstone of the whole faith. The Apostle Paul puts it about as bluntly as you can. If Christ didn't physically rise from the dead, then your faith is pointless and you're still stuck in your sins. It's that central.
And that leaves us with this really powerful final thought. The core message here is that what you believe about your ultimate destiny should profoundly change your daily reality. And it leaves us with a question that goes way beyond just this one framework. How does what you believe about the end actually shape the way you live your life right now?